of the Independent Electoral and Boundaries Commission laid on the table of the House on Thursday, December 1st, 2022, and pursuant to the provisions of Article 251(3) of the Constitution, number 1, finds A, that the petition by the Republican Liberty Party discloses serious violations of the Constitution or other laws as a ground for removal of Ms. Juliana Wonge Cherera, Ms. Irene Cherop Masit, Mr. Francis Mathenge Wanderi, and Mr. Justice Abonyo Nyangaya as commissioners of the Independent Electoral and Boundaries Commission. B, that the petition by Reverend Dennis Ndwega-Ndumbi discloses serious violations of the Constitution or other laws, gross misconduct and incompetence as grounds of removal of Ms. Juliana Wonge Cherera, Ms. Irene Cherop Masit, Mr. Francis Mathenge Wanderi, and Mr. Justice Abonyo Nyangaya as commissioners of the Independent Electoral and Boundaries Commission. C, the petition by Geoffrey Lagat discloses serious violations of the Constitution or other laws, gross misconduct and incompetence as grounds for the removal of Ms. Juliana Wonge Cherera, Ms. Irene Cherop Masit, Mr. Francis Mathenge Wanderi, and Mr. Justice Abonyo Nyangaya as commissioners of the Independent Electoral and Boundaries Commission. Number D, that the petition by Owo Steve Jerry discloses a serious violation of the Constitution or other laws, gross misconduct and incompetence as grounds for removal of Ms. Juliana Wonge Cherera, Ms. Irene Cherop Masit, Mr. Francis Mathenge Wanderi, and Mr. Justice Abonyo Nyangaya as commissioners of the Independent Electoral and Boundaries Commission. Number 2, resolves that 1, that the petitions herein, together with the material in support thereof, be sent to His Excellency the President pursuant to Article 251(3) of the Constitution. 2, that His Excellency the President appoints a tribunal to deal with the matters in accordance with the Article 251(5) of the Constitution, and that 3, His Excellency the President suspends the commissioners herein pending the determination by the tribunal. Honorable Speaker, the House will recall that 4 petitioners came to the National Assembly with the petitions that these 4 commissioners be removed from the Iebc. Honorable Speaker, you referred the petitions to the Committee on Justice and Legal Affairs, and in spite of the fact that we had 14 days, we did the best we could, and thank you very much for granting us an extension of 3 days. May I start by thanking those members of the committee who sat throughout the period we assigned for hearings. May I thank the Secretariat for the good work done, and may I report to this House this afternoon that we have 2 volumes of the report which we have tendered to the House and which is being considered. Every member can obtain those volumes, and you can read for yourself, because in my own estimation, the committee, in spite of all the hurdles that were thrown on its way, actually did a fantastic job. We were able to sit, we were able to hear, and we were able to make recommendations. There were many issues that were raised, and all of them are addressed in this report, including our jurisdiction, what role we had to play, and whether there was anyone else mandated to do this work. Eventually, we found that we were the right committee to deal with it, and this is why we listened to everyone and came up with a report. All the petitioners appeared before us. They were actually heard, and everything they said is in this report. We also afforded adequate opportunity to the respondents, the 4 commissioners. I'm pleased to report to the House that actually they were represented by council. Council made representations, which representations we took into consideration while drawing the report we have brought to the House. What we have is a true record of what took place. Honorable House of Parliament, please do read it for yourselves. You will see exactly what was said and what we did. Eventually, having listened to the petitioners, we actually came up with a decision as to whether any of the petitions made disclosures. And I'm happy to report to the House that after agonizing for a couple of days away from Parliament, we were able to establish that each of those petitions disclosed a ground upon which each of the 4 commissioners can be removed from office. Therefore, we came to a conclusion and a recommendation that the entire report in the 82 volumes, including all the material, the petitions, the responses, the letters that were written, be forwarded to His Excellency the President, so that he can appoint a tribunal to deal with these 4 commissioners, who actually deserve to be removed from office on the grounds of gross misconduct, violation of the law, everything else which they did, which was untoward. I do not wish to go into evidence that was adduced before the tribunal, because this will take time. It is on record. I adopt it as it is. Let everybody read this. Let everybody acquaint himself or herself with the report, so that we are able to debate soberly. Because this is a report of the committee which this House can either adopt or reject. But I do urge you to adopt it, because the issues raised by these petitioners were not frivolous. These are issues which, on the face of it, established a prima facie case. It is on that ground that we have made this recommendation, with the last recommendation being, while the investigation is going on, these 4 commissioners should actually not remain in office, but should be suspended, so that they investigated and everything else is done in accordance with our constitution, in accordance with the law. And I confirm we also actually followed the standing orders. With those few remarks, I beg to move that we actually consider and adopt this report, and I request my able Vice Chairman, Mr. Ekomas Bwengi Mutuse, to second the adoption. Thank you, Mr. Speaker, sir.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Thank you, Chairman, for your able presentation. I confirm that the report tabled before the House and as presented by the Chair is a true reflection of the deliberations of the committee, and therefore I second.
Honorable members, I now propose the question, which is that this House considers and adopts the